So, you may have heard the very, very sad news that Malcolm Heyworth, the producer of shows such as Treasure Hunt, The Interceptor, Bullseye, and of course The Crystal Maze, sadly passed away just a few days ago. Now, Malcolm was involved very deeply in all his projects and wanted only the very best for them. That definitely came across on screen, whether it was the outstanding aerial shots and manoeuvres in Treasure Hunt and The Interceptor, to the astounding sets for The Crystal Maze. Malcolm's talents will certainly be remembered. So today I'm doing this video in memory of Malcolm. What we're looking at today, well, as an aside from my previous videos, I'll be looking further into my concept of the reboot Crystal Maze, and one tweak in particular that I would have liked to have been seen. Now, as I discussed in my earlier videos, the reboot series took the teams through the zones in a random order. As the 90s version was an interconnected set, the newer series were all separate, as you can see in this floor plan layout here. Now, so I'm going to discuss my idea of an alternate solution. I'll say all these zones were built separately. That's, as I said before, down to studio space. But I'm going to look at some of the connections. Now, I know this was a bit of a bugbear with a lot of the viewers, that they didn't like the way that the new series was interconnected or not connected as strongly as the 90s version was. So I say I'm going to look at some little tweaks that I think would have made the edits a little bit better. It wouldn't have cost anything extra. I don't think it'd have cost a lot more time in extra, but if they'd had a little map like this with all the doorways and the zones that they go to, that would have been nice. I say it's just my interpretation, my opinion. I might be absolutely wrong. There might be a reason why they didn't do it or couldn't do it. But let me know what you think. So we'll start here in industrial. Now, the thing with me is, as I said, if it had been set out like the 90s, the zones would have been connected anyway, but they could still have done that visually and by editing. And the thing I would like, that if each exit on entranceway led to the same zone. Now, I didn't mind the fact that they went from different zones, that the Crystal Maze was mixed up this time. I kind of liked that idea, to be honest. But as I say, I just wish that if they were going to one particular zone from industrial, say, that they used that same door in every episode. So I've made a little plan here, I've drawn on here, where I think each door should have led. Now at the bottom here, we've got the entrance. I think that should have been the entrance only at the beginning, where we're introduced to the teams. Go into there, obviously play the games. And if you have a look here, I think we should have, if we would have gone up these steps and across the gantry, or this way, across the gantry, that would have led to medieval, which would have sort of fit in with the raising and the lowering of the stairs over there. This side, again, like the 90s, if that pipe had gone to Aztec zone, I think that would have been brilliant. All you have to do is film the contestants going through there. And it was like an L-bend here. As I say, I have been on the set, so I do know what it was like. The contestants and Richard go through the tunnel, turn left there, and then they could have cut to them coming out of the Aztec tunnel here, and it wouldn't have been as bad as what some people thought. Then we have a couple of doors that don't really lead to anywhere. They're just to the back of the set. We have one here between these two game cells and one at the side here. Now, they could have gone to the dome. Either one of those could be used for the dome. Futuristic, I'll come to that in a minute. But I think I loved the idea that there was like a transporter or a transmit beam that took them. So you didn't necessarily have to have a doorway that went to the futuristic zone. They could have stood in the middle and said, right, now we're going to futuristic zone, and then dispersed their molecules and then reassemble them back in the futuristic zone. So next up then, we're going to move over to medieval, later Eastern, obviously. But at the moment, we're looking at medieval. Again, entrance only there, where the gate is, where they have to pull the chains or climb over or under the doorway. Again, just used as the entrance, the intro for the show and the team. Come down the steps there and into medieval. This big one here, where there's an obstacle, that could have gone to the Eastern Zone. Sorry, not the Eastern Zone, because that was later on. Medieval to Aztec Zone. And then, again, we've got two small doors. If you watch the show closely, you'll see a small door there, and then a small door here. There are these steps. And either one of those could have led to the dome if they'd finished in that zone. Again, the highway steps up here, going up the steps, across the balcony to Industrial, which, as I said, would have linked up with this one. Bit of editing of the team running up there, going around the corner, and then coming around out here would have worked quite well, I think. Then we'll come to Futuristic. As I said, they did have the transporter beam thing, so I think that was good to get in and out of the Futuristic Zone. Again, though, the entrance on this one was the actual transporter pad where they all stand, so they could come in and out of there, go through, play the games, and then back to leave to the next zone, which is more or less what they did do. And I say, quite like that idea, it is good. Again, there was a spare door here. Excuse me, spare door here, which was going to be this cell was going to be extended, but they've shortened it a little bit, but that is still in the set. That could have led to the dome. And then finally, Aztec. Again, we've got the wall here, which they could have climbed to go to Futuristic if they didn't want to transport. They could have climbed up there and then come out there. That is a little bit of a sort of different one, because obviously the Futuristic set is built differently now. It's all on one level. But you could have gone through there anyway. Again, this down here at the bottom to Medieval and then later series Eastern. And then the triangular, what I call the triangular exit here through between the two game cells would have gone to Industrial. Now in the reboot series, there was a false wall built here, and there was either rocks or stones, etc., where you had to clear them and go through. But I think if they'd moved that bit, got rid of that bit basically, and had the intro section over here, which is where the waterfall is, I think that would have been quite good. They could have put the camera facing this way towards the waterfall, had the teams here, and the presenter introducing them, and then they could have done the same thing, clearing all the bricks that the Aztec ruins could have sort of collapsed and blocked the way into the Aztec village. So that's what the team had to do, get rid of all these blocks first and then go in. Same principle basically as that, but I think they could have done it here and had that just as the entrance only. All that would have needed is a little bit of set design here. What they've built here, they could have built it there. Little wall there, maybe a little extended this bit here, so you didn't see the back of the set or the wall of the studio, and have it filmed that way and going in. Again, then this tunnel would have led, as I say, to Industrial. They'd have gone back through there and coming through this tunnel here into Aztec. Sorry, into Industrials, because I'm reading Aztec there. Again, then a little door here again at the side. Richard did walk through that, as did Adam, a few times with the contestants. Those that didn't want to climb the wall, he went through this door, but that could have been a nice little entrance again to the dome. So there you are then. That is my idea. It's little edits, you know, as I say, take the contestants through, film them as far as they can, and then take it back to them coming through the different areas. I said it wouldn't cost any more money, and they have to sort of edit it anyway, so I don't think editing would have taken up even more use or tape space than what had. So there you go then, that is my take on the vignettes or the crossing over zones of the Crystal Maze reboot series. Until next time, thank you for watching and all the best.